welcome back to This Week in New Genre Books. My name is Amelia, and from Locus Magazine, we're going to tell you all the new science fiction, fantasy, horror, and related books being published the week of December 10th, 2024. Only a few more weeks of 2024 to go. Let's make the most we can of this year. First up, science fiction, we have two titles. From Eliane Boey, we have Club Contango, out from Dark Matter Inc. in ebook. This is a science fiction novel. The owner of an illegal micro-casino must deal with the murder of a former business partner and the fine print of an old AI contract as she races to recover her life from other versions of herself. Really gives the term self-sabotage a different meaning if she's trying to outwit other versions of herself. From James Reich, we have Skinship, out from Anti-Oedipus in trade paperback and ebook. This is a far future science fiction novel. The last starship to leave Earth hopes to restart on a new planet with the last humans and a genetic archive. With those high stakes, can they keep pulling in the same direction? No, they're going to find something to fight about. Meanwhile, back on Earth, one last man struggles to survive. Go ahead and like this video for me if you haven't already, please. It helps us out a lot. And if you've got a place in your budget for holiday giving, please consider your favorite literary nonprofit. We've got a Patreon, or you can do the old-fashioned thing and send a check. Details at locusmag.com/donate. Next up, horror, we have one title. From Courtney Gold, we have What the Woods Took, out from Wednesday Books in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult horror novel. Teenage Devin Green is abducted in the middle of the night to an experimental therapy camp in the middle of the Idaho woods. They undertake a 50-day hike to change their self-destructive ways, but there's something strange about the woods. Then, both counselors go missing. Next up, fantasy, we have three titles. From Thea Guanzon, we have A Monsoon Rising, out from Harper Voyager US in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy romance novel, the second in the Hurricane Wars trilogy. After a lifetime of war, Alaric and Tamsin were thrust into a marriage alliance between their homelands. Now Taliesin plays the part of Alaric's willing empress, while her allies secretly plot to overthrow his reign. From Morgan Howell, we have The Moon Won't Talk, out from Regal House in trade paperback and ebook. This is a fantasy novel. Teenager George Park expects a boring summer in quietly magical Eden, South Carolina in 1966. Then an outsider with secrets moves in next door on a mission to recover the soul of his dead lover. From Beth Kander, we have I Made It Out of Clay, out from Mira in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a darkly humorous fantasy novel. Eve, single, turning 40, and stressed at work, is on the verge of panic with her younger sister's wedding rapidly approaching. She can't bear to attend the wedding alone. Then she recalls a strange story her Yiddish grandmother once told her, and Eve manages to create a golem. What seems to be a light-hearted rom-com fantasy turns into something much darker. Finally, in our Anthologies collections nonfiction category, we have four titles. From Kevin J. Anderson, we have Fantasy Stories, Volume 2, out from Wordfire Press in trade paperback, hardcover, and ebook. This is a collection of 18 fantasy stories, 1 new, 4 are collaborations. Each story has an introduction by Anderson. 10 stories were previously collected as part of Selected Stories Fantasy, published in 2018. This is part of the 7-volume Kevin J. Anderson short fiction library series, funded through Kickstarter. From Oghenechovwe, Donald Ekpeki, and Chinaza, Eziaghighalaby, we have The Year's Best African Speculative Fiction, 2023, out from Kazik, Science Fiction and Fantasy in trade paperback and ebook. This is a Year's Best anthology of short stories and poems from 2023 by African and African diaspora authors including Nalo Hopkinson, P. Jelly Clark, Tobias S. Bakel, T.L. Huchu, Tananarive Du, Zan Van Rooyen, Gabriel Emem Harry, Chisom Ume, Makena Onjerika, and Wole Talabi. From Dave Hinchberger, we have 2025 Stephen King Annual, Stephen King on Tour, out from Overlook Connection Press in hardcover. This is a nonfiction annual volume on Stephen King with articles, interviews, photos, illustrations, facts, and trivia. This volume focuses on 40 years of appearances by King at bookstores, libraries, colleges, and more. From editor Emily Vincent, we have Summoned to the Seance, Spirit Tales from Beyond the Veil, out from British Library in ebook. This is an anthology of 14 stories about seances, including authors such as Arthur Conan Doyle, H.G. Wells, Florence Marriott, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. Number 54 in the British Library Tales of the Weird series. That wraps up this week. Please subscribe and turn notifications on if you haven't already so that you're picking up what we're putting down every week. Drop me a comment, tell me what's on your mind. Come visit us on the socials at Locus Mag or at Locus Magazine. We want to tell you everything about the science fiction, fantasy, and horror publishing scene so that you're the in-the-knowest kid on your block. If you got it, flaunt it. Locus is a 501c3 nonprofit. Life is to be lived, and I'm grateful you're spending some of your precious time and attention with us. We'll see you next week with more new books.